What happens when everything you've ever known dissolves into silence? When the walls that held your identity crumble, and you're left floating in the vast emptiness of pure being? This is what dying teaches us. Not about endings, but about eternal beginnings. Not about losing ourselves, but about discovering who we truly are beneath all the layers we've carefully constructed. Death doesn't take anyone. It awakens everything. It strips away the masks we wear, the stories we tell ourselves, the identities we cling to so desperately. And in that stripping away, something profound is revealed. The infinite consciousness that has been there all along, watching, waiting, eternally present beneath the noise of our everyday existence. Think about the moments before sleep takes you. That brief instant where your thoughts begin to dissolve, where the boundaries between you and the universe become blurred. Death is like that eternal moment, stretched into infinity. But unlike sleep, death doesn't bring dreams. It brings pure awareness, pure being, pure consciousness experiencing itself, without the filter of personality, without the weight of memory, without the burden of time. The people who have touched death and returned tell us something remarkable. They don't speak of darkness or nothingness. They speak of light, overwhelming, loving, all-encompassing light. They speak of understanding everything in an instant. They speak of feeling more alive than they ever felt while living. Because death isn't the opposite of life. Death is life unveiled, life without limits, life in its purest form. When we fear death, what are we really afraid of? We're afraid of losing ourselves. But what if the self we're so afraid of losing isn't our true self at all? What if it's just a collection of memories, habits, and beliefs that we've mistaken for who we are? What if our real essence, our true nature, is something that can never be lost because it was never born in the first place? Consider the wave in the ocean. It rises, it travels, it crashes against the shore. For a moment, it has form, identity, movement. But when it dissolves back into the ocean, has it died? Or has it simply returned to what it always was? The wave was never separate from the ocean. It was the ocean expressing itself as a wave, and we are consciousness expressing itself as human beings. Death awakens us to this truth. It shows us that we are not the wave, but the ocean. We are not the temporary form, but the eternal essence. We are not the fleeting thought, but the awareness in which all thoughts arise and dissolve. This is why those who have experienced death often return, transformed. They've seen through the illusion of separation. They've touched the infinite. In our daily lives, we live as if we are solid, separate beings moving through time. We accumulate experiences, build relationships, chase dreams, avoid pain. We create elaborate stories about who we are and what our lives mean. But death comes like a loving teacher and asks, what remains when all of this falls away? What is left when the story ends? And the answer is everything. Everything remains because nothing was ever truly separate. The love you felt, the joy you experienced, the moments of pure presence, these weren't created by your personal self. They were glimpses of your true nature shining through. Death doesn't end these experiences. It reveals that you are the source of them all. This is why death is the ultimate awakening. It's not a door closing, but a door opening wide to infinite possibility. It's not a light going out, but the removal of all shadows. It's not the end of consciousness, but consciousness, finally seeing itself clearly, without distortion, without limitation. The fear of death is really the fear of life unlived. We cling to our small identities, our limited perspectives, our conditional love, because we're afraid to discover the vastness that exists beyond these boundaries. But death whispers to us constantly, in every ending, in every goodbye, in every moment that passes and can never be retrieved. It whispers, wake up, you are more than this. You are infinite. Those who have died and returned speak of a love so profound it defies description. Not the conditional love we know in our daily lives, but an unconditional acceptance that embraces everything we are, everything we've done, everything we've failed to do. In that space, judgment dissolves. Shame evaporates. Guilt transforms into understanding. Because from that higher perspective, every mistake was a stepping stone, every failure was a teacher, every moment of suffering was a doorway to compassion. This is what death awakens in us, the recognition that we've never been separate from this love. We've only been distracted from it by the noise of our own thoughts, by the drama of our personal stories, by the illusion that we need to earn or deserve what has always been freely given. Death doesn't grant us this love. It simply removes everything that stands between us and our awareness of it. Think about water. In its solid form as ice, it seems separate, defined, limited by its edges. But when heat is applied, those edges dissolve. The ice returns to its fluid state, able to merge with other water, to flow without restriction, to take any shape while maintaining its essential nature. Death is like that heat. It melts the frozen boundaries of ego, allowing consciousness to return to its natural state of fluidity and freedom. The mystics have always known this truth. They've told us that dying before we die is the secret to real living. What does this mean? It means letting go of our attachment to who we think we are. It means surrendering our need to control, our need to know, our need to maintain the illusion of separation. Because when we do this, we discover something extraordinary. We don't disappear. We expand. We don't lose ourselves. We find our true self. This is why death is not the enemy we've made it out to be. It's the ultimate friend, the final teacher, the one who shows us what we really are when everything false has been stripped away. And what remains: pure awareness, unconditional love, infinite consciousness, the same awareness that's reading these words right now, the same consciousness that has witnessed every moment of your life without ever being touched by any of it. When we understand this, death loses its sting. Not because we stop caring about life, but because we realize that life and death are not opposites. They're dance partners in an eternal choreography of consciousness exploring itself. Every ending is a beginning. Every death is a birth. Every dissolution is a transformation into something greater. The fear of death keeps us small. It makes us cling to the familiar, resist change, avoid the unknown. But when we embrace death as our teacher, everything changes. We become free to live fully, to love deeply, to risk everything for truth. Because we know that what we truly are cannot be threatened, cannot be diminished, cannot be destroyed. This is the gift that death offers us, the invitation to wake up from the dream of separation and remember our true nature, not in some distant future, not after we die, but right here, right now, in this very moment. The same infinite consciousness that embraces us in death is present with us in life. We just need to stop running from it and turn around to face the light that has always been shining within us. Death doesn't wait for us to be ready. It doesn't ask for permission or send advance notice. It simply arrives, like a wave finally reaching the shore it was always destined to meet. And in that moment, everything we thought was important reveals its true weight. The achievements we chased, the possessions we accumulated, the grudges we held, all of them dissolve like morning mist in the sun. What remains is what was always real, the love we shared, the moments of genuine connection, the times we touched truth. Those who return from death's doorway tell us about life reviews, not judgments from some external authority, but a profound seeing of one's entire existence from a perspective of infinite compassion. They experience every moment, not just from their own viewpoint, but from the perspective of everyone they ever encountered. Every kind word reveals its ripple effects through time. Every harsh action shows its impact on the web of consciousness. And through it all there is no condemnation, only understanding. No punishment, only learning. This is what death awakens in us, the ability to see ourselves and others without the filters of ego, without the distortions of fear, without the limitations of personal perspective. In death's light, we finally understand that every soul we've encountered has been fighting battles we knew nothing about, carrying burdens we couldn't see, seeking the same love and understanding we ourselves have craved. The dying often speak of a profound peace that descends in their final moments, not because their problems are solved or their questions answered, but because they finally stop fighting. They surrender to something greater than their personal will, and in that surrender they discover what the mystics have always taught, that our true nature is not the fighter but the witness, not the doer but the being, not the seeker but that which has never been lost. Consider how tightly we grip our identities while we live. We defend our opinions, protect our self-image, maintain our stories about who we are and what we deserve. Death comes like a gentle but insistent teacher, loosening each finger of attachment until our hands finally open completely. And when they do, we discover we haven't lost anything real. We've only released what was never truly ours to hold. This is why death is the great awakener. It doesn't take us somewhere else. It reveals where we've always been. It doesn't give us new knowledge. It removes the veils that kept us from seeing what we've always known. In the presence of death, all our games end. All our pretenses dissolve. All our masks fall away. And what remains is pure, naked truth. The ones who have touched death and returned often say they no longer fear it. Not because they've become brave, but because they've seen through the illusion. They understand that death is not an enemy to be conquered, but a doorway to be walked through. Not an end to be dreaded, but a transformation to be embraced. They know that what we call death is simply life without limits, consciousness without boundaries, love without conditions. When we truly understand this, our entire relationship with life transforms. We stop postponing joy, withholding love, or waiting for someday to live fully. We recognize that this moment, right now, is all we ever have, and it's already complete, already perfect, already eternal. Death teaches us this by showing us that nothing real can be threatened, nothing true can be lost, nothing essential can die. The fear of death is really the fear of life itself, the fear of surrendering to the mystery, of letting go of control, of trusting the intelligence that beats our hearts and breathes our lungs. But when we make friends with death, we make friends with life. We stop resisting the flow and start dancing. We stop trying to hold on to moments and start being fully present in them. This is the ultimate gift of death. It awakens us to the eternal life that exists right here, right now, in this very moment. Not life after death, but life beyond birth and death. Not consciousness that survives the body, but consciousness that was never contained by the body in the first place. When we understand this, death loses its power over us, not because we won't die, but because we realize we were never truly born. We are the eternal witness, the unchanging awareness in which all experiences arise and dissolve. When the body falls away, what remains? Not nothing but everything, not darkness but light without shadow, not silence but the source of all sound. This is what the dying discover in their final moments. That consciousness doesn't end when the brain stops functioning. It simply returns to its natural state, unlimited by physical form, unrestricted by time and space, undivided by the illusion of separation. The testimonies of those who have died and returned challenge everything we think we know about consciousness. They tell us that awareness continues, expands, and becomes more vivid when freed from the constraints of the physical body. They describe knowing things instantaneously, understanding complex truths without effort, experiencing multiple realities simultaneously. This isn't fantasy or hallucination, it's consciousness recognizing its true nature. In that space beyond death, many report encountering what they can only describe as pure love. Not emotional love as we know it, but a force so powerful, so accepting, so all-encompassing that it transforms them forever. They realize this love has always been there, waiting patiently beneath their fears, their doubts, their sense of unworthiness. Death simply removes the barriers to experiencing it directly. This is perhaps death's greatest revelation, that we are already home. We've always been home. We've just been dreaming we were lost. The journey isn't about going somewhere else after we die. It's about waking up to where we've always been. The light that embraces us in death is the same light that animates us in life. We just couldn't see it through the fog of our own thinking. Consider how we live our lives as if we're separate individuals navigating a hostile universe. We build walls around our hearts, create stories about who we are, defend ourselves against a world we perceive as threatening. Death comes and shows us that these walls were never real. The separation was never true. We are and always have been part of an infinite web of consciousness, connected to everything that exists. This is why those who return from death often speak of feeling more alive than ever before. They've glimpsed the truth that life doesn't begin with birth or end with death. Life is the eternal dance of consciousness, expressing itself in countless forms. Our physical existence is just one movement in this infinite choreography. When the body dies, the dance continues, but now we can see the whole stage, understand the entire performance, appreciate the perfect harmony of it all. The fear of death keeps us trapped in small identities, limited perspectives, and conditional love. But death itself is the ultimate liberation. It frees us from every story we've told ourselves about who we are and what's possible. It reveals that our true nature is boundless awareness, infinite love, eternal presence. This is why the mystics have always said that to die before you die is the secret to real living. What if we could bring this understanding into our daily lives? What if we could live with the awareness that death isn't our enemy, but our teacher? We would stop postponing joy, stop withholding love, stop waiting for perfect conditions to be fully alive. We would recognize that this moment, right now, is already complete, already sacred, already eternal. The dying often speak of a life review where they see not just their actions, but the ripple effects of every choice, every word, every thought. They understand that nothing is ever truly private, that consciousness is ultimately one, that what we do to others, we do to ourselves. This isn't judgment, it's recognition. It's seeing the intricate web of cause and effect that connects all beings across time and space. This is the wisdom death offers us, that love is our true nature, that separation is an illusion, that consciousness cannot die because it was never born. When we understand this, death loses its terror, not because we won't experience it, but because we realize what we truly are cannot be threatened by it. We are the awareness in which all experiences arise and dissolve. We are the love that embraces all beings without condition. We are the light that cannot be extinguished. In the end, death doesn't take us anywhere. It simply removes everything that isn't real, everything that isn't eternal, everything that isn't love. And what remains is what we've always been. Infinite. Consciousness having a temporary human experience. This is the ultimate awakening, the final revelation, the truth that sets us free. Death doesn't end our journey. It shows us we are the journey itself, eternal and ever-present without beginning or end. The moment of death is like removing colored glasses you didn't know you were wearing. Suddenly the world reveals itself in its true colors, its true depth, its true magnificence. Everything you thought was real shifts into proper perspective. The worries that consumed you, the fears that paralyzed you, the desires that drove you, all of them appear as what they always were, temporary clouds passing through the infinite sky of consciousness. Those who have died and returned speak of an overwhelming sense of coming home, not to a place but to a state of being, not to a location but to a recognition. They describe it as remembering something they had temporarily forgotten, awakening from a dream they didn't realize they were having. In that moment of transition, all questions dissolve not because they are answered, but because the questioner finally recognizes itself as the answer. This is what death awakens in us, the realization that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience. The body dies, the personality dissolves, the memories fade, but the essential awareness that witnessed it all remains untouched, unchanged, eternal. This awareness is not something we possess. It is what we are. In life, we identify with our thoughts, our emotions, our experiences. We say, I am angry, I am happy, I am successful, I am a failure. Death comes as the ultimate teacher and shows us that we are none of these things. We are the consciousness in which all these experiences arise and pass away. We are the unchanging witness to all change, the deathless awareness, experiencing the dance of birth and death. When we understand this, our entire relationship with existence transforms. We stop clinging to experiences, stop fearing their loss, stop trying to control what cannot be controlled. We recognize that we are like the sky, and all experiences are like weather patterns moving through us. Storms come and go, but the sky remains. Joy arrives and departs, but awareness persists. Even death itself is just another experience arising in the infinite field of consciousness that we are. This is why those who have touched death often return with a profound sense of peace and purpose. They've seen behind the curtain of material existence. They've experienced the truth that consciousness is primary, not secondary to physical processes. They understand that life doesn't create consciousness. Consciousness creates the experience of life. And this consciousness, our true nature, is indestructible, eternal, infinite. The fear of death is really the fear of discovering our own vastness. We're comfortable with our small defined identities. We're familiar with our limitations, our boundaries, our sense of separation. Death threatens all of this by revealing that we are boundless, that we are connected to everything, that we are ultimately one with the source of all existence. This recognition can be terrifying to the ego, but liberating to the soul. In the light of death, all our pretenses dissolve, all our games end, all our masks fall away. What remains is pure, naked truth, the truth of what we are when stripped of everything we thought defined us. And this truth is not emptiness but fullness, not darkness but light, not ending but eternal beginning. This is the gift death offers, the invitation to wake up from the dream of separation and remember our true nature. Not in some distant future, but right here, right now. The same consciousness that embraces us in death is present with us in every moment of life. We need only stop running from it and turn to face the light that has always been shining within us. When we make peace with death, we make peace with life. When we accept impermanence, we discover the eternal. When we let go of who we think we are, we find who we truly are. This is not philosophy or speculation. It's the direct experience of countless souls who have touched the threshold and returned to tell us, death is not the end. It's the moment when everything false falls away, and everything real is revealed. The ultimate awakening is not something that happens after death. It's available right now in this moment to anyone willing to let go of their attachment to the temporary and open to the eternal. Death is simply life's final teaching, its ultimate gift, its most profound revelation. When we understand this, we can live fully, love completely, and face our own mortality not with fear, but with gratitude for the incredible journey of awakening that life offers us through its constant dance with death.